a very, very popular viral video was released about a year ago, last November. It was called Wealth Inequality in America. You guys may have seen it. It had all those graphs, and that guy was narrating how unfair the wealth inequality in the country is. With, you know, the top 1% owning like 40% of the wealth or some ridiculous number like that. And at the end, the narrator of the video says, we don't have to go all the way to socialism to agree that this is a problem. This income inequality is a problem. But certainly we can all agree that the owners of companies, these 1%ers, don't deserve 40% of the wealth. That definitely the hard-working, lower-level individuals, the manual laborers, the people doing more of the dirty work, for lack of a better term, that they could be given more money, a bigger cut of the pie. And I'm here to tell you, and hear me out on this one, I'm here to tell you with as much common sense, logic, and reasoning as possible that, for the most part, most lower level workers do not deserve more than they're already being paid. And that the very wealthy people in charge of these companies deserve what they're getting. And here's why. And remember, let's not have any emotional knee-jerk reactions. If I say something that you disagree with, provide me with rational counter-arguments, and you will be taken seriously. If not, you are a 4-year-old peeing your pants. So, it's called the consciousness commodity. There is more to work than just physical labor. There is a lot more to work and the marketplace and what runs a business than just physical labor man hours. Consciousness is one of the most important qualities in the marketplace, and individuals' payments, what they get paid, their perceived value in the marketplace is determined largely by the consciousness commodity. You are not being judged in terms of value at your job by your ability to stock shelves. Any robot can do that, literally, because machines are taking over your jobs, really. Machines are really taking over manual labor jobs because they can. Just like cars were invented to replace the need for, horse and carriage, the more we can use machines to liberate humanity, the more we're gonna friggin' do it, because you'd be crazy not to. Anyone can stock shelves. Although yes, there is a lot of physical labor involved, no doubt about it. There is an incredible amount of physical labor. I used to work at a grocery store. Long hour shifts, getting paid minimum wage, stocking shelves, sweating like a dog, feeling like a dog, and getting paid like a dog. Now, my point to tell you here is that it's a lot easier to stock shelves. It's a lot easier to do bare, repetitive labor than it is to have the qualities of consciousness that make you worthy of the higher levels of pay in the marketplace. Now here's an example. Who gets paid more? A guy working at a grocery store stocking shelves for minimum wage, working 11-hour shifts to get paid shit. Or, I don't know, Beyonce, who gets paid exponentially times more than the guy stocking shelves, but she only has to work for 2 months on an album, and once she releases it, the cult of fans take care of her for another few years. Who worked more there? Now the impulse is to say, oh, it was the guy stocking shelves. Well, I don't know. I would argue here that the guy stocking shelves is actually has an easier job than Beyonce. And let's shift out from this petty little cultural pop singer example. I believe that the average manager of a company is putting in more work than the guy stocking shelves at the same company because of the consciousness commodity. Here's a question. Even if the janitor at the grocery store works like a dog, do you think he could handle being a manager? Now let me elaborate that. You might say, oh, but the manager doesn't do anything. He just sits there and tells people what to do. Easy job. Well, no. Now again, you can get emotional and you can pee your pants and you can be a 4-year-old, which is a totally fine reaction if that's what you want to do. Or you can actually be worthy of paying attention to and provide a good counter argument. Guarantee you that the guy who's a janitor either can't or doesn't want to take on the work of the manager. You might say, oh, but the manager just sits there. Who wouldn't want to get paid? I would be a manager. If I could, if the manager gave me a spot, I'd do it. I don't think you would. And here's why. Because the manager is doing a lot more than just sitting around. You see, when it comes to the consciousness commodity, the manager has to be responsible for any customer complaints. He's responsible for the entire company. So if something bad happens, everyone's going to look up to him. The burden of responsibility is going to fall on his shoulders. You have to have the consciousness awareness to understand the dynamics of the freaking work environment from such a broad macro perspective that you can actually get the working environment to work in accordance with what makes the profits. What I'm trying to say here is that, oh, and let me just add this also as well. The manager has to deal with the social pressure. Every single worker, okay, has to do what he says. Every single worker looks up to the manager in case something bad happens. The manager has so much responsibility. He has to deal with the fact that he is the most popular person in the workforce by default. Most people can't handle that kind of pressure. So the guy stocking shelves might be busting his ass, but he's thankful he's not the manager with all eyes on him. With all eyes on him. There is more to being a manager than just giving out orders. There is more to being a manager than just sitting down looking at everybody work. Most people couldn't handle what the manager handles if they were just copied and pasted from their cashier job, just on a consciousness level. Let's not even talk about whether or not the cash, let's say we take a cashier and we put the cashier in the manager's shoes. Let's just say we do that and ignore whether or not the cashier knows how to do the managerial processes like command the workplace and give out orders accordingly to maximize efficiency. Let's ignore that. Could the cashier copy and paste it into the manager's shoes handle the simple fact that they are in control of the whole show? You see what I'm saying? And the quality of character, the quality of a worker that determines their ability to even be a manager in the first place is known as the consciousness commodity. That's what I call it anyways. It's the consciousness commodity, and it is as fundamental. It is as fundamental to a working environment as anything else. As the guy stocking shelves, as the janitor cleaning toilets. And there's a good chance that the janitor cleaning toilets is glad he's not the fucking manager. He's glad that his responsibility only goes as far as cleaning up people's shit. Sweeping up the floor, mopping up, because he couldn't handle. Good chance he either couldn't handle or he doesn't want to put in the consciousness effort in the first place. It may not, maybe the janitor could be a manager. Let's say he could be a manager, but the janitor knows that a great deal of mental power is required to be a manager. A great deal of mental energy. And mental energy is one of the most exhausting forms. This idea that physical labor is the be-all, end-all of, you know, blood, sweat, and tears and hard work. Nonsense. You know, a lot of people might think, oh, hey, red pill philosophy, you make a living just talking and into cameras. Don't you feel guilty about that? You know, I kind of used to. I used to feel kind of guilty. Like, man, I feel bad for all the people out there working their 9-to-5 jobs. You know, sweating their asses off, you know, at Starbucks, making fucking coffee, all the manual labor stuff. The Mexican people who cut, I'm Cuban, by the way, so I'm not racist. I'm Hispanic as well. People call me Mexican all the time. The Mexican people who mow lawns and shit. I mean, that is tough work. Although I have had aspirations to be a landscaper before. Seems like a nice thing to do, you know, just 7 in the morning, sun's rising, birds are chirping, cutting grass, surrounded in nature. I mean, fuck, I think I'm gonna become a landscaper. You know what, I'll probably start doing that. I'll probably once a week, on weekends, I'll just give out free help to landscapers. Because, I mean, it just sounds like such a pleasurable thing to do. Maybe that's just me bullshitting. But anyways, the point is that, so mental energy is just as important, and the person working at Starbucks, although they are working hard, no doubt about it, they don't have to put very much mental energy. And so I stopped feeling guilty after a while because I realized that for me to be able to be in the state of mind to constantly think about the things that I think about, to have the energy and the enthusiasm to even talk about these things so consistently for the past year, that itself requires so much energy. It really does. And the difference between me and the average other person, like a sheeple, for example, the person who chooses not to think and doesn't want to question the standards and dogmas that society has imposed on us through cultural fiat, I guess you can call it. What they are avoiding in thinking, they are making up for in energy, less energy spent. Mental energy, conscious intent takes so much willpower. Trust me, I'm the first person who likes to just lie around and watch YouTube videos all day and not have to think. It feels good. And I think we're all entitled to periods of downtime where we don't think. I think it's healthy to have that balance. But my point, quite simply, is that mental effort, conscious effort, the consciousness commodity is just as or even more valuable than the physical labor. Now, are they both essential? Yes. But again, robots are taking over the simple, repetitive, menial tasks of manual labor. So it won't be long before robots take over, and it's just going to be consciousness commodity. We're going to live in an economy that is based strictly, primarily, largely on art, on people's ability and commitment to doing things that they love doing instead of working at Starbucks. I mean, think about it. When machines take over all manual labor jobs, here's the thing. A lot of people think that, oh, if the machines take our jobs, people aren't going to have anything to do. Oh, no, they're not going to have anything to do. People think that. They think that all the jobs are going to be gone, but they don't understand this simple economic principle that you're not taught in public school, and here it is. Very important. Write it down if you have to, or just remember it. When machines take over all the manual tasks, I'll give you an example. Let's say at a grocery store, cashiers are replaced by automated checkout machines. You've ever seen those? Where you scan the items yourself, you swipe your card, you just got rid of a bunch of cashiers. What happens is, although the cashiers did lose their jobs, stay tuned, listen to how this plays out. You can't just look at the surface of things. You have to follow things through. So when cashiers are replaced by machines, the company can now lower its prices on its goods because the company is spending less money because they don't have to hire all those cashiers. So now that the company is saving money, they can lower the price of their goods so that they are more appealing to customers than their competitors, because most grocery stores have competitors. They still do, believe it or not. Whether it's the big grocery store chains or the small little guy selling in his little quickie mart, that's a competitor too, believe it or not. And it's a viable competitor, actually, because there is a market for cheaper goods. People are willing to go to the quickie mart for shit a lot cheaper, maybe lower quality, but again, the bigger grocery store chains are losing some money there. So the grocery stores do have an impulse to want to lower their prices because they have competitors and they want to attract as many customers as possible. So when the company lowers its prices, because they don't have to hire all those cashiers and they replace the cashiers with machines, the prices go down. That means that when customers come to shop, they save more money because they're not spending as much on the goods. So now the customers, everyday average people who go to get their groceries, now they have more money in their pockets. And why do people work? People work to spend money. People work to accumulate money so they can spend it on a movie night, dinner, fucking trip to Disney World, their favorite book, invested in their children. People make money with some eventual intention of spending it. Now you might say, oh, but what about those evil rich people who just hoard their wealth? Well, I don't think that's true. They do have a lot of money and they do save a lot of it, but they also spend a shitload of money on billionaire yachts, giant dinner banquets that hire a bunch of people to make food, and they're creating jobs by spending their money. The only difference between the average billionaire and the average, middle wage worker is that the billionaire just has a bigger proportion, not even a bigger proportion, a bigger, in proportion to the average worker, a bigger amount of savings. That's all it is, a bigger amount of savings. But percentage-wise, they probably save about the same as the average worker. But again, the point is this, that people, now that customers are saving money at the grocery store because the grocery store got rid of the cashiers and replaced the cashiers with robot machines, customers are not going to have more money to spend on random shit, because that's what most of the economy, the big part of the economy is just people spying it on random shit. Once we get the fundamentals down, paying the bills, eating, water, etc., health, then we want to spend it on random shit. The movie, the expensive dinner where you're paying not just for the food, but you're paying for the experience. Buying your favorite book, video games, all these things, bikes, tuning up your car. People want to spend money. That's why they're working to get money in the first place. They have to spend it and they want to spend it on things. With this extra capital that they are saving at the grocery store, at the bookstore, think about books, for example, totally destroyed by the digital book industry. But again, the capital shifts somewhere else. What people save in cheaper books, they're going to spend somewhere else, creating a whole new marketplace. And what we have here is that once we can get machines to fully handle the basic biological processes necessary for survival, once we all have 3D printers in our fucking garages that print up everything we need for a fraction of the cost, once Walmart becomes obsolete because we're all going to have a Walmart in our fucking backyard called a 3D printer, fuck, can't wait for the future, man. Woo! It's going to be awesome. We're going to be living in like Mass Effect land. I swear to God, we're going to be living like in Mass Effect, the video game, or like fucking Star Wars and shit. Without the wars, hopefully. We're going to be living in a fucking science fiction movie, man. We're going to be printing things in our backyards. We're going to have so much fucking time in our hands that all we're going to do is just work on cultivating beautiful consciousness art, interacting, communicating, experiencing, delving deep into the human spirit, both inner and outer, deep into inner space, deep into outer space. This is the future and it's going to be gorgeous. But we have to work hard to manifest that future. We have to unlock the secrets of the universe so we can come up with things like 3D printing. So we can come up with things like nanobots that fucking just take an injection of nanobots and they fucking cure cancer. Now, I have heard the downsides to nanobots and transhumanism. Ray Kurzweil definitely talked a lot about that. But again, This is all very side tangenty. So kind of rewinding it here. So it all comes back. A lot of the manual labor jobs, you guys are going to lose your jobs because that is just inevitable at this point. You guys are going to lose your jobs because that is the future as machines take over. But don't be concerned, because what's going to happen is when your job is lost because a machine took your job, society in general is going to have more capital left over because everything gets cheaper. More capital left over to spend on shit. And what are they going to spend on? Whatever the hell. If you lost your job because a machine took your job, don't worry about it. The money people saved because the machine took your job is going to be used in some other arbitrary, random human expenditure. And that means that there's going to be more fucking opportunities for people to pursue their art instead of being slaving away at a shitty job. You're going to be able to go do that fucking thing you always wanted to do. Fucking become a video editor or you know, play your guitar on the side of the street. You're going to have the power, you're going to have the freedom, and people in society are going to have the extra capital left over to pay for that, for fuck's sake. To pay for that. To want to pay for it. So it's the future, and it's liberating, and what it's going to teach to you, what it's going to prove to you, is that you're probably going to have to start learning to use your consciousness commodity. Because in a world where machines take over and there's no more room really for manual labor, unless you're like, you know, unless you work at like a massage parlor, assuming that hasn't been taken over by machines either, consciousness is going to be the one thing, at least for now, that is going to be unique to the human body and the human soul and the human experience. And that's what people are going to want to pay you for, and that's what you're probably going to end up cultivating in life. So with that premise set, it's kind of went full circle, but again, here we are. We're back to the fundamental point about consciousness commodity and how that is more valuable than physical labor, than the average worker. And the idea in that very popular Wealth Inequality in America video that the narrator doesn't understand in his you know, petty little sympathizing that he gets I'm sorry guys, I hate to say it, but I think most people who claim to care about other people don't fucking give a shit. They get an ego boost out of thinking they care about other people, about doing videos and saying, oh, the evil rich people. But I'm an average everyday worker, and I get an ego boost out of fucking helping other people. Oh, and by the way, I actually make a lot of money helping people. But no, I'm altruistic. I'm not selfish. It's just stop it. That's a fairy tale. That's a child's game. The idea that you don't have self-interest and that all you care about is other people, that is a little fantasy. That is a Santa Claus fairy tale. Told largely through religion, now adopted institutionally by government. That's just a silly game. We are all inherently driven by self-interest. Even when you help other people, let's say you give money to a homeless guy, you still did it with a fundamental, in terms of your intentions, why you did it, there's still a self-interest based reason for it. Because some people gave the change to the homeless guy because they wanted to clear the change out of their glove compartment. Other people gave change to the homeless guy because they did something bad yesterday and they're trying to clear their conscience, you know, get straight with the Lord. So they frickin' decide, oh, let me just go help somebody. It'll make me feel better about myself. And even if you just did it because, oh, I didn't do it for any reason for me. I just wanted to do it. Oh, well, there you go. You wanted to donate. And that comes back to the fundamental pain-pleasure paradigm. Human beings and human intention and human actions are bound by the pain-pleasure paradigm. And as long as we're in control, as long as we have a choice, as long as we're conscious, we're going to make choices that maximize pleasure and minimize pain and suffering. And of course, pain and suffering is subjective, because you might say, oh yeah, but what about people who like getting, you know, their asses beat? How about people who like being, there was once a serial killer who liked to self-mutilate himself. Well, he wanted to suffer. He wanted pain. Well, yeah, again, there it goes. For him, subjectively, he associated goodness with what we associate as suffering. So it's really just subjective. For his experience, on a subjective level, his definition of pain was actually his own version of pleasure. So again, that's just him pursuing his own pleasure. The pain-pleasure paradigm. So even if you donated somebody No, I didn't do it for me. I just wanted to do it. Well, yeah, you chose to do it because you wanted to do it because it made you feel good at some random level in accordance with the pain-pleasure paradigm. So, again, no one can be altruistic. No one can be self-sacrificial. That's what they call it. We can be self-sacrificial on the surface in terms of the outcomes of our actions, like a woman diving in front of a bus to save her child. If you and I observe that, we see a woman dive in front of a bus to save her child, and the woman dies, the mother dies, getting hit by the bus. You and I on the surface, not looking at the mother's intentions, we judge that as self-sacrifice. But as far as the woman was concerned and her intentions, it wasn't a sacrifice, because in her value system, she valued the life of her child and the continuation of her genetic offspring more than she valued her own life. So she actually wanted to do it. She dove in front of that bus because she wanted to do it. Our choices are all bound by the pain-pleasure paradigm. Is there a way to transcend or transition beyond the pain-pleasure paradigm? Is there a more fundamental level of how we operate? I don't fucking know. But as far as I can get to the fundamental core of what drives human actions, I cannot get past the pain-pleasure paradigm. If you guys know what's beyond the pain-pleasure paradigm, what else is motivating us, please let me know. I'd love to hear it. I haven't found anything yet. So the wealth inequality guy, he's narrating the video. He wants to come off as if he's a moral person. Again, that's besides the point. The point really is that the consciousness commodity is probably the most important thing. It's going to be the most important thing once machines totally take over humans, and it's going to be the liberation of humanity as far as I'm concerned. It's going to be the liberation of humanity as long as humanity still cares about themselves enough to draw lines in the sand in terms of what other people can and cannot do to them, in terms of respecting them. Because I really think the biggest thing holding people back from wealth and success and overall abundance in life is whether or not they allow other humans to trample over them. For example, a lot of the truly wealthy people in society, the 1%ers, a lot of them, in a way, you could argue that they don't really work hard for their money. I know that kind of seems to be a contradiction, but when I was referring to managers earlier, and the 1%ers, I was really just talking about the average person working the head of a job, the head of a company. The problem is that the true 1%ers in society, they don't really work at all. All they do is run the Federal Reserve System, the United States Central Bank, and they just print money out of thin air and give themselves billions of dollars. Which you could argue, well, is that guy working hard? Does he have to work hard to make, because he's one of the top people, you know? And who knows, maybe there is a certain element of skill. I mean, you have to be a deceptive fucker. You have to be putting yourself at risk of being hung or trampled down by the citizens of a country if they ever wake up, which is what happened in, I think, Iceland. In Iceland, the people revolted and arrested the bankers, the central bankers of their country, for total fucking government fiat fascist abuses of power. So that was interesting. So I guess the true 1%ers, the money masters, the people who get their wealth by lying and deceiving people instead of actually working and being the head of a company that provides value to people, the 1%ers, they in a way are working hard. They're doing something that most of us wouldn't be able to do. It takes a certain level of gall. I don't want to say balls, but you got to be pretty audacious to fucking go work at the Federal Reserve, deceive half the world, put everybody into a fucking economic downturn, all while you fucking bail yourself out with taxpayer money, 2008 bank bailouts. I'm not saying they're good. I don't really believe in good or evil. That's another fairy tale. But yeah, I think to a certain degree that they're doing things that most people wouldn't do, and to a certain degree, it's difficult. It's difficult to do what they do. They have to lie. They have to go in front of Congress. Ben Bernanke has to sit in front of Ron Paul while Ron Paul questions him with the distant sound of "and the Fed, and the Fed, and the Fed" echoing in the fucking halls outside. So there is something going on there. I don't think people who run the Federal Reserve are doing anything valuable to society. Clearly they're not. They're just parasites. But what they do certainly does take a certain level of intent, and it takes a little bit of ballsiness, because there's a good chance that you might get you might get chased down by society and hung out in the streets. So again, all I really wanted to point out, guys, is that the reason that these social programs, the reason that welfare, the reason that all these campaigns, the reason that viral videos like wealth inequality in America never fucking work, never change anything, is because the people in power still have their power, and because the people who don't have power, the people who work the $7 an hour job and are content there, even though they complain about it, they're actually more content working $7 an hour at a drive-thru than they would be having to run the McDonald's in the first place. They wouldn't be able to handle it. It's too scary, or it's too beyond their consciousness, which again goes back to the consciousness commodity. The reason that change never really does happen is because people are trying to change things by pulling on people's heartstrings. Oh, well, we got to be moral. We got to do things for the poor because it's the right thing. As long as the poor in society are trying to get change by begging for fucking change, all they're going to get in life is spare change. That's all they're going to get. That's all they're ever going to get. Spare fucking change from the people above. You have to demand it from a self-interest place. You have to have enough courage to say, I deserve this. Not you should give it to me because God says you're being evil and greedy. No. No. It's not going to come that way. Religious institutions want to disempower you to believe that, yes, it will come that way. Wealth will come if you just donate to the church, and God will make it happen for you. Okay? But it's not going to happen that way. It's going to happen by making conscious choices. It's going to happen by demanding from a basic self-interest perspective. I want more. Give me more of the pie. Then you're going to start getting it. But again, the reason the poor are still poor, the reason welfare hasn't ever really risen people up from poverty. I mean, it might have for some people because it actually gave them a quick boost, but I think the people who are going to come out of poverty, we're going to come out of poverty with or without the welfare. If you have the commitment, if you have the certainty and the self-will to get out of poverty with or without welfare, you're going to fucking find a way to do it with or without welfare. The reason that the poverty never changes is because that's all your value in society dictates. That's all your value in society demands. Man, I took Alpha Brain. I'm on fire right now. I took Alpha Brain. Joe Rogan's on it.com, Alpha Brain, the cognitive enhancer. I took Alpha Brain before this podcast. I'm on fucking fire, man. I wonder if it has anything to do with the Alpha Brain. Anyways. But yeah, it's incredible. It's interesting, and the reason that people don't ever get any better, the reason that the situation does not change, is because, quite simply, that is all that your consciousness will ever demand in life. The average, manual laborer, you're not doing enough to merit more money in the world, in this biological world of up, down, left, right, mechanistic rules. Yeah. I mean, there it is. There it is for you. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. If you are interested, I sell t-shirts at my website. You guys can get a Red Pill Philosophy t-shirt. I'm working on making a few new shirt designs, some cool stuff. Your purchases do support my work. If you'd like to donate anything, 5 cents, I mean, whatever the fuck you feel compelled to donate, go for it. You could also become a Red Pill Philosophy subscribing member. That's $3 a month, and you get all types of exclusive content, exclusive podcasts, newsletters, things like that. delivered right to you. It's exclusive, nobody else gets it. So you're basically getting like an insight, look into my mind. And a lot of times I'll talk about cutting edge stuff that I haven't talked about with anybody else, that I think is still too bold for the main channel, so I hold off on it for a while. But yeah, guys, definitely check it out. redpillphilosophy.com/members. All the links are below. So again, everything you guys do, any shirt purchases, any donations, any subscriptions you make, you're definitely supporting my work. So if you like my stuff, send me some love. If not, fuck it, whatever. Maybe I didn't deserve your love anyways. Maybe I'm not putting enough consciousness effort to fucking merit a donation. Fine. Bye, guys.